How do you feel? Are you relieved, overjoyed, nervous?
I am actually relieved. A huge sort of weight is now off my shoulder. I have much more time to do things which I could never do before, to read, perhaps to watch a movie. And I have a lot of work at home in terms of old papers belonging to my husband and some to my mother-in-law. And I'm trying to accessorize and then digitize all those papers. These are papers, for instance, letters that my mother-in-law used to write to her son, to Rajiv, in school, and his reply. So I think they are, well, from a sentimental point of view, they are important. They've just been kept for so long. I'm now trying to tidy them up.
But actually, are you going to stay out of politics? Because, in fact, you're hosting a dinner on the 13th, calling all the political parties for organizing a third front, maybe?
I am no longer the president of the party, but yes, I am the chairperson of the Congress, of the CPP in Parliament, of the Congress party in Parliament, and I do sort of meet with, together with Rahul and some colleagues. We try to have regular meetings with, we call them like-minded parties, to see if we can work together. We have worked together in the past. In Parliament, there is a certain amount, especially in the Rajya Sabha, of coordination. Yes, I do that, and I think we are holding a dinner also next week with all these leaders who lead.
Are you hopeful that these parties who have, fought with each other quite bitterly sometimes can actually get together because they see BJP as a big colossus which can't be beaten singly by any party?
Well, it is difficult for all the parties, including for ours, because while we can get together at the national level on some issues or legislations or issues, but at the ground level we are opponents. So there is a lot of pressure from every party, from my party, from the party of another leader, like for instance in West Bengal, in many other states. So it is a difficult task, but I think if all of us think of the larger picture, if we really think and care for the country, then we should think, local, other difference, which really deal with state politics.
What is the advice you have perhaps given to the Congress president, who happens to be your son, but he's the Congress president?
He is now the Congress president.
Do you give him any advice?
He's fully responsible. He knows what his responsibility are, and well, I'm there if any sort of advice or thing I can.
Do you volunteer it or only when he asks for it?
Well, it can be both ways.
I know my children don't listen to me. Does he listen to you?
No, I think I try not to volunteer because after all, we parents tend to always try to keep them under control, but I think it's not terribly wise to do that always. It's better to let them. I don't know. What did you do with your father?
He let me be. He let me be.
He let you be.
He let me be. Yes, good. And I think it was the right decision.
That's why you are where you are, right?
But would you? Rahul Gandhi is taken up a very big post after 20 years. how do you see him? Is his style of management, you think, different from yours? Or are there any disagreements you have with him on particular issues?
Look, every person and every leader of a party has his or her particular style of working. So, he has his style. I had my style.
So what's the difference?
Not difference, because after all, the Congress party has certain policy, believes in certain ways. I think what he really is keen on, has been keen on, but we have always pulled him back, is to revitalize the party in the sense to have younger people, not to do away with the elders, but to have a balance of younger people and seniors. India is these days a very, very young country, and I agree with him there. It's not going to be an easy task, but I'm sure he'll be able to manage.
But there's always been a feeling that that you, in fact, wanted the veterans to stay, and he wanted young people to come in, and there's always been a kind of a tension there between the two.
He certainly has always, talked and wanted to have younger people, new people. If you do not have younger and new people, how is your party going to grow? That is his argument, a very valid argument. Then you have the elders or the seniors in the party who feel that, look, we have been struggling all these years, and now suddenly, what's going to happen to us? But in the last meeting we had, working committee, very recently, actually it was turned into the standing committee for the plenary, he clearly said at that meeting that he strongly believes that yes, young people must be encouraged, must be in the party, but that does not mean doing away or ignoring the seniors who have been in the party for long, who have worked and contributed to the party for long.
See, in 2004, Congress ruled 13 states and BJP only 6. And today BJP is in 21 and Congress is in 4.
Yes.
So BJP, of course, calls it Congress Mukt Bharat. What do you think happened? What went wrong with this kind of...
In 2004?
No, I'm saying this decline, that you were ruling 13 states and you're down to 4 now.
Yes.
Right? So what went wrong with the Congress party?
Well, first of all, we were in government for 2 terms, and definitely there was a certain amount of anti-incumbency. People felt perhaps they wanted a new person. There were other issues. And also, I think we were, in a way, out-marketed because we couldn't really, compete with the kind of not propaganda, with the way under Mr. Modi the party went into elections.
So how do you intend to fix that?
Well, we have to. It's a challenge, but I'm sure that we'll be able to meet it.
So what are the other lessons for you for 2019 elections, which are, what are the chances you think of Congress party in the coming general election, say next year? What is going to be different? What are the lessons you've learned from the last election, 2014?
Well, there are so many lessons, I can't begin to list them out here.
Just 3.
I think that our party has to really develop a new style of connecting with people.
Yeah.
I'm talking at the organizational level. And then, of course, we have to also, look at the way we project our programs, our policies.
Well, a lot of your policies and programs, in fact, have been adopted by the
Yes,
new government. So, I mean,
NDA has adopted, but to begin with they did, but then in some cases they sort of, weaken certain some of our programs that we thought were important. But I mean, it is their take. They are in government now, and so.
So corruption was the main issue in 2014, I think.
Yes.
Would you agree with that?
That was an issue, but I'm sure I'm going to be here misunderstood. But it was highly exaggerated. Now, in the case of the 2G, for instance,
right.
You must have read recently what happened. For instance, in the previous CAG,
right.
In our government, they came out with some humongous sum of money, which was supposed to have been sort of
1,72,000.
Yes, but it was there was a problem there. I think now everyone realized that it was not just highly exaggerated. And then the question that we can really ask ourselves, how come the person who was in charge of that institution was given a very cushy job right after? So, one must think about these things. And then, in the Gujarat government, I think the Oil and Gas Corporation or something it was called, the very institution, CAG, has found 20,000 crores, I don't know, I don't want to use a vulgar word for it, but of misuse of
funds.
Yes, and but nobody is talking about it now. We try to take it up in Parliament, but invariably we are not allowed to speak, and that is why, unfortunately, we have to then start making a nuisance of ourselves and shouting, because anytime there is an issue, an important issue that we want to discuss, they find a way of scuttling our...
But actually, more often you see Congress banging the tables and shouting, recently with the Prime Minister not being allowed to speak. Do you approve of this?
I agree with you, but there is a reason for it. When you have a genuine issue that you want to discuss, and you follow all the procedure, you give in to the speaker or in the advisory committee meeting, you give as per procedure what is the point that you want to discuss under which particular rule, we are just sidelined. We are not allowed. At times, we have even agreed to change the discussion under a rule which government wants. But even then, take for instance of late, just these last 3 days, we wanted to discuss the big fraud. It's an important issue. It's an issue that is agitating people's mind. It is an issue that must be agitated in Parliament. We have simply not been allowed to speak.
But just before that, Prime Minister was trying to speak just after the budget, you remember, and he was not allowed to speak.
There's a reason for that.
Yes, what was the reason for that?
There is a reason for that. No, he spoke, but there was a noise from the opposition side. It's because when our leader of the party in Parliament, who is a senior person, pretty capable, he was trying to speak the previous day. The Treasury benches did not allow him to speak. They shouted and screamed, they called him names, and that is why.
So how is this going to be fixed? Because politics seems to become very acrimonious.
It cannot be fixed with the way the present government is running Parliament. It cannot be fixed. It's impossible, because they are not willing to allow us to speak. Now, what is Parliament for? Is it not a forum where all
Yes,
of
of
us,
course.
we might as well shut down and go home then, if you know.
But why aren't you
And I'm fully aware, I'm aware that people at large are constantly angry with the Congress because they feel they are shouting, they are making a noise.
Yes.
But there is a very serious reason for it. Parliamentary rules are not followed.
No, but there is, I'm sure, a way to do this in the back room, to come to some sort of